Hey there, how you doing? Happy 2026. I know it's the 8th day of the year. However, I've been off of these social media streets for 7 days. But I wanted to check in with you to see how you are doing, because typically this may be the time where people who have had New Year's resolutions or goals, it's all over. Or you may be still focused on it. However, I wanted to check in to see how are you doing with listening to God or discerning his voice. Yeah, that's the question that I have for today, because a lot of times I've realized I listen to my thoughts, my thinking, other thinking, not always God's thinking. So even in these last 7 days of January 2026, I have been grateful to follow a plan through Priscilla Shire, Discerning the Voice of God. And today, the 8th, I started with a few friends the Bible plan, Hearing God's Voice First. So sometimes when we hear ourselves, our thoughts, other people's thoughts, other people's opinions, it can take us on another path. And let me give you an example. If you were told anything negative and you believe that negative saying, you'll never be anything. You're just like fill in the blank. You always, you never, why can't you? And sometimes it's you're not as good as. I'm talking about the negative pieces. Things that people have said a while ago, and we now no longer need them to say it, because now we say it to ourselves. So that's what I'm asking for you. How are you doing on this day, the 8th, and then beyond? I'm checking in with myself differently, making sure I listen to the voice of God. And hear me when I say it. I'm not talking about this pie in the sky thinking I'm better than anyone. I'm saying instead of anxiety speaking to me and me responding or reacting to anxiety, fear, hesitation, doubt, and worry, pausing and asking for wisdom, for peace, for joy. And one thing I know, that is a fruit of the Spirit, love, joy, peace, so I can walk in the Spirit and not in my flesh. For anybody who says, like, what is she talking about, spirit and flesh? I'm a believer of Christ Jesus. My sister friend, she has introduced me to the series The Chosen, and I've been binging Jesus. Yeah, binging Jesus. Like being able to see the Bible in the form. If anybody comes at me to say, well, it's not all the depiction accounts, and I pause, because when I watch the series, Jesus dealt with the same thing. People always got something to say. So that's what I'm asking. How are you doing? People always have something to say today. But the most important thing is, what do you say about yourself, and is in alignment with what God says about you? So I want to continue to open up an invitation. The last video that I had, I shared about what I was doing. This video, on the 8th through the 11th, I am going through the Bible plan through YouVersion, the Bible app, hearing God's voice first, before I hear Jasmine, before I hear history, before I hear socialized norms, before I hear the traffic. Hearing God's voice first. So, Happy New Year. It's still fresh enough for you to be able to stay focused on the important things and priority things. I'm going to encourage you, in order to stay on the path that's best for you, that you focus on hearing God first. So, hearing God's voice first. If you need to get a little bit more clarity on how to do that, he has a wonderful ancient old book that's the bestseller of all times. It's called the Bible. There are different versions. You can get in a version or read a version that makes more sense to you. And I'm going to address this for anyone who has had an experience where they have been in a Christian or church environment and there has been hurt. I want you to know that God sees and knows, and God is not people. People are people. And I apologize if you've been hurt by a person who claim to know Jesus and who claim to know God. But one thing I want to confirm with you, even with people who are imperfect, if people are following the path of God, what I'm understanding, I'm not going to intentionally hurt or harm someone. I may do that in a way that I have to come back and apologize and acknowledge, but it's not going to be intentional. So in order for me to acknowledge what you may be feeling as a person who may have been hurt, my encouragement to you is to get closer to Him and bring the room to Him, so that no matter what, you can always hear Him, because you don't want to continue to even hearing that chatter in your voice. So how are you doing today? Check in with yourself, and I will check in with you next week. That's it, folks.